The diplomatic outcome of today's incident, not to mention the consequences on the war in Ukraine, are still hard to fathom. But what is certain, we've never witnessed a public falling out quite like this. For more, let's bring in our political analyst, Eric Ham. Eric, first, I have to ask your reaction to this exchange.
Well, this is quite startling, and I've actually been in a number of those pool reports at the White House, even during the Trump administration. We've never seen the president or a vice president dress down a foreign leader in a way that we saw today. And I think what this does is this puts the negotiations back at square one even further than that, based on what we saw play out today.
Well, Eric, beforehand, it seemed for a moment this minerals deal was close, and now it feels more elusive than ever, plunging Ukraine into uncertainty. What would it take to get it back on track?
Well, that's interesting because from what our sources are telling us is that it was the president himself who asked President Zelenskyy to actually leave the White House and that there would be no more talks or negotiations. We're told that President Zelenskyy actually wanted to continue the talks and actually speak over lunch, and that he was still in place and prepared to actually work on this minerals deal. So it seems like now all the cards are with President Donald Trump, and if he will actually continue to work towards a deal based on what we saw today, it doesn't look as though he's ready to do so.
Eric, just quickly, a lot of European leaders have been sort of buttering up to Trump, if you will, so I'm sure they're watching this closely too.
Oh, yes. This, I think, puts Europe in a very different position. We saw the lobbying, the full court press over this past week with President Macron and Prime Minister Starmer, a meeting with Donald Trump. But now I think the onus on what happens with Ukraine and Russia, Europe will now have to play a much, much bigger role, because what we saw today, clearly the United States is walking away.
Eric Ham joining us this evening. Thank you so much for your insight, Eric.